Hello there, and welcome to the Dually Leadership Experience Career Compass podcast, where we talk about the skills, strategies, and insights for your success in today's workplace. I'm your host, Jason McGill, Creative Coordinator for the DLE. The Career Compass podcast delivers fresh perspectives and actionable ideas on the topics that matter for career success. Now that in-person interviews and return to office requirements are back, your responsibility to sharpen your conversational and social skills is no longer an option. It is a requirement for standing out. In this episode, From Zoom to Room, the new rules of connection, we are providing actionable tips and proven techniques for creating rapport and building relationships on the job or in an interview. Joining me on this podcast is Linda Dooley, President and founder of Dooley & Company. Linda is a nationally recognized workplace transformation expert known for converting organizational breakdowns into breakthroughs. Dooley & Company's innovative spectator-free workplace strategies have significantly improved collaboration, communications, and productivity in leading companies across different industries. Linda also manages and underwrites the Dooley Leadership Experience, otherwise known as the DLE, which connects professionals across the U.S. and beyond through free, year-round career development and networking programs. Hey, welcome, Linda.
Thanks, Jason. And I am really excited to be part of this conversation.
Great. Also joining me in this conversation today is Victoria Macher. Victoria is the Dooley Leadership Experience's social media coordinator and a recent graduate of Marist University. Welcome, Victoria.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be joining this conversation.
Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. Linda, let's start with a look at what companies want today in their employees and new hires. It's more than technical expertise. They also want people who can connect, collaborate, and adapt, and increasingly in today's world, through in-person interactions. What advice do you have for listeners, particularly those currently on a job hunt?
Hands down, number one advice is to get into a strong training routine. If you want to win in this competitive job market, you need to train like a champion. And that means dedicating time and devouring resources to sharpen critical skills that are in demand. And I suggest 3 areas to get this training routine started on and focus. First one, it's self-awareness. And this is your ability to dial into your physical presence and your vocal projection and how it's being received by others. Number 2 are your conversational skills, particularly your skills in being able to start with ease a conversation, what we call breaking the ice. And the third one are curiosity skills. And these are really demonstrated by your adeptness of asking purpose-driven questions, not repetitive or perfunctory questions.
Now let's touch on each of those. How do you grow your self-awareness?
Well, most of us don't realize how much our nonverbals really do speak louder than our words. And by nonverbals, I'm talking about our posture, our eye contact, our facial expressions. These components all manifest into our physical presence. And it's what others notice first about us. And they instantly start forming opinions about us. So, what I've seen, and this is because we've spent so many years with the cameras off, that there's a disconnect between words and presence, that our body language isn't conveying the energy or the enthusiasm that we really want to project in our tones and our tone and our words. So again, there's this disconnect. We come off flat in our body language, but not in perhaps the words we choose or the pace that we're using. So the best way to dial in and improve your self-awareness of what we're calling here projection is to seek real feedback, really unfiltered feedback from coworkers who attend meetings with you. And clearly, this is going to be someone that you've got a good relationship with because you want to ask this person to be brutally honest with you about how you look, about how you sound, and what you say. And in providing this feedback, you want them to be able to give you something that's going well, because that's a strength you want to really be aware of, but also what's not going well. And also a recommendation for improving, again, how you look, how you sound, and what you say. Those three components, we have a model that we use in all of our coaching and leadership development programs at Dooley and Company, and we call it the 3V model for communication excellence. I'll go through it again. The first V is visuals, your body language, your facial expression, and your attire, how you come across physically in your projection. Second V are vocals, and that's your tone, your pace, your projection. Projection. Can people hear you, or are you so soft spoken that you can't be heard? And the third V, your verbals. And these are your word choices and expressions that come across. So when you grow your self awareness of those three V's and your 3V projection, your ability to connect with others will substantially increase.
Wow, that's a great model, Linda. Easy to remember. Now, from your experience, how proactive are people in actually applying it?
Well, not very proactive. Most people cringe at the thought of asking others for constructive feedback. But here's the truth. And without practicing those three V's and without making adjustments, again, based on constructive feedback, improvement won't happen. Just like with any other kind of practice, say in sports or in music, you need constructive feedback and some coaching to calibrate how you're doing and what you need to improve. Self-awareness is essential for projecting a magnetic presence, and that presence is what will trigger a connection.
Absolutely, Linda. Now, the second skill that you mentioned as essential is breaking the ice to spark a conversation. Now, from my experience, that's something that makes a lot of people nervous.
Very nervous. That's so true, Jason. Yeah, people worry about being awkward or saying something wrong. So rather than try, they just simply don't start a conversation at all. But taking the initiative to engage someone by asking about their perspective or a project they're working on or a weekend activity, well, that will open the door to learn more about them and obviously build a relationship. So here's a quick homework assignment, kind of easy to do. We all go to restaurants. Maybe we have a favorite restaurant, favorite bar we like to go to. Study your favorite bartender or server when you're there. Because those in the hospitality industry, and particularly those with customer facing jobs in the hospitality industry, they have to rely heavily on these three V's to make instant connections with customers. And remember, they're meeting many of these people for the first time. So watch how a skilled bartender or server, watch them in those three V's and how they are in breaking the ice when a patron comes into their establishment. And most likely you're going to see that their body language, let's just look at their visuals if you want to focus on that. Their body language is it's very open, it's approachable, pleasant, and inviting. And so much so that within a matter of seconds, maybe 30 seconds, that instant stranger starts asking them for, well, what would you suggest that I order here? And they don't even know each other yet, but they came across as a trusted source simply in that 3D projection. Now just think about how fast that connection was made. That is a big wow.
Wow, that is definitely a big wow, Linda. And I love that analogy. Bartenders and servers as masters of connection. So, what's the third skill? Asking better questions?
Yeah, exactly. Strong communicators flex their curiosity. They steer clear of perfunctory generic icebreakers like, how's it going? which usually gets one-word answers, if any. We're just used to hearing that all the time. The best practice for improving your ability to break the ice and stimulate a conversation is to get creative. Get creative about asking questions. Break habits and routines and challenge yourself to come up with some new kinds of icebreaker questions. I'm going to give a scenario, and this actually happened. We're recording this on a Monday, and this morning, very early, I went to my local gym, and always happens. The first question I'm asked by the front desk manager is, "Well, how was your weekend?" And rather than respond with a perfunctory, "Fine, how was yours?" I tried out this icebreaker. "Well, and I realized this weekend I've run out of movies to stream. Could you suggest a few of your favorites?" And my response invited the other person to share their perspective and give me some new tips, which I really wanted. And by the way, when they did so, it opened the door for me to ask some follow up questions about the film recommendations they offered. And there were several. So by applying curiosity right off the bat, it just led into asking some more unique icebreaker questions. And it kind of came spontaneously. It wasn't like I planned, but it was triggered by some of the movie suggestions they had. And all of that helps constantly build conversational skills to keep a dialogue going.
That's true. I think about the interviews that I've been on since graduating. The really skilled interviewers often avoid the standard common question that everyone hates, which is tell me about yourself to break the ice. They've taken the time to review your LinkedIn profile and resume already and craft icebreakers that show interest about a successful project to get the conversation going. They pose open ended questions that invite details about an achievement or challenge, such as what did you do as a project leader to build a sense of accountability for everyone on the team?
Definitely, Victoria. And as a postgraduate currently navigating the full time job search, I've been reflecting a lot on my own experiences with interviews. I've noticed that the most positive interviews that I've had were those where I've done my research about the company, come prepared with insightful questions that show my genuine curiosity and interest, and showed up to the conversation as my most confident self, even being in a Zoom environment. So, to recap our playbook so far for creating connections, we recommend growing self awareness through the 3V model, breaking the ice by being open and approachable in your projections, and flexing your curiosity and ask unique questions that show genuine interest. Now, there's another essential skill that can completely change the way you connect with others: listening like a champ.
Right, and it sounds simple, but in today's world, it's tougher than ever. We've all gotten used to multitasking with checking notifications, half listening on calls, juggling a dozen things at once, and tuning out with headphones. And for most people, that feels productive. They think they're good listeners like that, but in reality, they're just waiting for their turn to talk.
Yeah, active listening really does require your full attention and your keen ability to dismiss distractions through mannerisms. Let's think about the 3 V's model. That first V, the visuals. You need to be able to convey your attentiveness in your visuals. So small cues are a real paramount. A small cue, just as simple as nodding, or maybe in the verbals of the 3V model, paraphrasing what you heard or asking that clarifying question. All that is signaling my attentiveness.
So asking questions also benefits listening skills.
Oh, yes. Asking good questions opens the door to learning. And again, learning does require patience, patient listening.
Hmm, definitely. So what you're describing sounds like curiosity in action. So there's a real connection between curiosity and listening.
Oh, a very strong one. Curiosity has really suffered with technology. The absolute ease of asking Google and Chat GPT to respond to a question, it's diminished our reliance on human interface and human interactions with questions. It's also diminished practice time in face-to-face interactions. Human exchanges generally require more time than a Siri search. And when you observe someone's body language projecting excitement or disappointment in their response, the door opens wide for follow up questions that nurture conversation, and connections. The unexpected gems of information that flow really do build practice time for listening.
Yeah, and flexing your curiosity during an interview or introductory meeting will definitely deepen the conversation. It does show genuine interest beyond just the job description, which they already read, and helps you explore the company's culture, values, and dynamics. Advice that I've taken seriously and tried to apply as I network more and more to be curious about everything and everyone.
Definitely. I think that's great advice, Victoria. I've also been working harder to make direct eye contact, summarize a point from the person who I'm speaking with, and always asking a follow up question. I think this combination really works well to elevate any conversation that you have.
It does indeed. The game plan that we've been laying out in the podcast, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It's pretty practical, but it is not easy to execute.
But when you put them into practice, you're already ahead of most people walking into an interview or meeting.
Absolutely. And once you start building these habits, it's like working a muscle. The more you do, the more you practice, the stronger your communication proficiency becomes.
Absolutely. Now, before we sign off, can we get more specific about training and training like a pro? There's been added stress for many who are returning to the office or heading into their first in person interview after years of remote work. Improving conversational and listening skills isn't going to happen overnight. The same premise goes for improving your handicap in golf or endurance in swimming laps.
Yeah, I do like that analogy a lot. Practice must be intentional. It also needs to be goal aligned. The more you practice initiating little interactions, the more natural they'll become. Now, self discipline is critical for success, just like self discipline in golf or swimming or whatever your favorite sport is, or chess. You've got to build in practice time every day to make progress. And I realize everyone is, I'm putting the quotes in here, busy, but using that excuse to ignore focused practice won't improve your connection skills.
Definitely, Linda. Practice makes perfect, or practice makes better, as some would say. So, for those getting ready for an in person interview, which is happening with a lot of increasing frequency these days, what kind of practice do you recommend?
Mock interviews. I mean, they are so helpful. Obviously, again, with a friend who's going to, again, be brutally honest with you, but schedule some rounds of mock interviews with them. This kind of practice I've seen as a serious game changer for folks in excelling their communication skills. And again, using the 3V model to guide in how you practice and how you get the feedback. We're structuring the feedback around our visuals, our verbals, and vocals. And that's what we want our mock interview colleague to be giving us evaluation on. And do this several times. This isn't a once and done. Repeated practice interviews will surface little habits you may not be aware of, like tapping your foot or using filler words like or you know.
Wow, I think that's great advice, Linda. I'm sure I've said plenty of ums and you knows in my own interviews. So, just like sports, deliberate practice, repetition, and honest coaching feedback. That's how you move from Zoom mode to showing up strong in the room as we move back to more in person experiences.
Exactly. These skills, they all build on each other. And a few minutes of daily practice will make you a connection pro. So just do it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Career Compass Podcast. If you liked what you heard, share it with a colleague or friend. Stay tuned for our next episode. And in the meantime, go to the Dooley Leadership Experience website at dooley.com for free tools and resources for your continued professional development. Thank you for listening.